So the bacteria are found almost everywhere, on your skin, in your intestines, on land, in water, even in the air. Okay, you still find the bacteria. Okay, they, of course, even in the lab, there are techniques to grow bacteria. That's what we call culturing. So, if we want to understand the properties or the characteristics of this bacteria, we can actually do what we call culturing. We can grow them in the lab, and this can help us reveal different properties that they actually do have. So the bacteria have been classified under kingdom Monera. So when we talk about kingdom Monera, we are mainly referring to bacteria, but of course don't forget the archaea that we talked about earlier on. Okay, so this actually in some resources you find that the kingdom prokaryote is actually existing. So don't be surprised if you see a kingdom prokaryote or prokaryote. Okay, so the organisms under it, like I said, we have bacteria. They can exist as microscopic unicellular organisms. That means that we cannot really see them with our naked eyes. They can grow in clusters. That means they aggregate. They grow in terms of colonies. We have them existing as groups or as chains. So we are also saying that they are metabolically diverse. The meaning of this is that their metabolic pathways are not the same throughout food with all the different bacteria that we have. Okay, so they differ a lot in terms of how either they do reproduce, in terms of their how they share their DNA, in terms of how they carry out processes like protein synthesis and the rest. Okay, and even how they obtain food. So then this means that they actually very, very diverse. So in terms of how they obtain their food, we have two broad categories. We have bacteria that can make their own food. We call them autotrophic bacteria. And then those that derive energy from already made food from other organisms, we call them heterotrophic bacteria, or basically heterotrophs. So the autotrophs, like I said, they make their own food and they can use energy from the sunlight. If they use energy from the sunlight, then we say that they are phototrophic. Okay, if they use energy from oxidation of inorganic molecules such as ammonia, hydrogen for energy, then we say they are chemoautotrophs. Okay, or they are chemoautotrophic organisms. Okay, so organisms such as the cyanobacteria, which are very important in nitrogen fixation, are photoautotrophic. And then bacteria that is found deep in the sea vents, they are chemoautotrophic. And then we have those that derive food from other organic compounds. Okay, other organic compounds, and these organic compounds can be from, let us say, dead matter. Okay, for example, what we call the decomposers or the saprophytic bacteria, they feed on the decaying matter. But this is also very important for recycling of nutrients. So they play an important role in these carbon and nitrogen cycle. And then we have those that derive nutrients from other organisms. Okay, mutualism. Um, the, this refers to a symbiotic relationship where both parties, actually both organisms, benefit from the relationship. And for example, the bacteria do obtain food from humans, but still can synthesize some vitamins that are very important for humans. So that is a mutualistic relationship. And then the third relationship is the second symbiotic relationship is what we call commensalism. With this, you have one organism benefiting and the other not being harmed. So you have anaerobic bacteria in the intestine doing that. Okay, this is basically to mean that actually the intestines are colonized by bacteria. Some of these bacteria is actually useful for different purposes, but you also have bacteria that is not going to harm the human. And then we have parasitism. With this, you have one organism benefiting and the other being harmed. Okay, and this is the case with what we call pathogenic bacteria. The pathogenic bacteria are those that cause diseases to humans or even to livestock. So what are the different characteristics of this bacteria? The bacteria, we have those that have the flagella for movement, and then we have those that we have bacteria that actually have a, a, a film, outer layer for protection. Okay, they have an extra layer of protection. Okay, and then they can reproduce by binary fusion. Okay, and also by spores. So let's look at the other characteristics. They have different shapes. They come with different shapes. We have those that are comma shaped. We have those that are rods. We have those that are spherical. So the spherical are the ones we call the cocci. If it is single, then it is coccus. Okay. And then the rods, we call them the bacilli. If it is single, bacillus. Okay. And then we have the comma shaped. Those are vibro, for example, vibro chloride. Then we have the ones that are spiral. And then the corkscrew. And in this, we have what we call the spirochetes.